Alicia Kozakiewicz disappeared from her home in Crafton Heights.
The abduction captured the nation's attention as few cases do.
Her parents were out of their minds with worry.
She's been out there long enough.
Typically in these cases, you don't often find these children alive.
Growing up in the heart of childhood in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Alicia Kozakiewicz was a typical teenager navigating adolescence. Born to Charles and Mary Kozakiewicz, Alicia had a close-knit family that included her older brother, Chuck. The Kozakiewicz household was one filled with warmth and love, where family bonds were treasured. With her sweet and gentle soul, Alicia was the quiet one in the family. She had developed a fondness for being a homebody, finding solace in the familiar comforts of her surroundings. Despite the loving support of her family, Alicia battled growing shyness that threatened to keep her secluded. Concerned for their daughter's well-being, Chuck and Mary encouraged her to step out of her comfort zone. They enrolled her in modeling classes, hoping it would help her break free from her shell and foster self-confidence. However, Alicia remained reserved. Her primary mode of communication with friends was through instant messaging, a digital sanctuary where she could express herself with ease. Little did she know that her world was about to take an unexpected turn on New Year's Day of 2002. On the evening of January 1st, 2002, New Year's Day, the Kozakiewicz family gathered for dinner. During the meal, Alicia complained of a stomachache. Concerned but understanding, her mother Mary granted her permission to lie down, assuring her that they would call her when dessert was ready. Unbeknownst to her family, Alicia had chosen a different path that night. Instead of retreating to her room, she ventured outside to meet an online friend to exchange greetings. After leaving the front door slightly ajar, she felt a sense of security since she could see her house and was still within the familiar confines of her neighborhood. This decision was entirely far from Alicia's usual behavior. She was afraid of the dark and detested the cold, so she never ventured outside alone before. Yet, on this darkest and coldest of nights, she took those uncertain steps to meet a total stranger just a couple of steps away from her house. Alicia began to reconsider her decision, planning to return to the safety of her home. A voice in her head urged her, "Turn around, go home, this is dangerous." But before she could act on that instinct, an eerie voice called her name. When Alicia's brother went up to her room to fetch her for dessert, he found an empty room, and his sister was nowhere to be seen. A search of the house revealed no indication that she had ventured out, as her coat, boots, and purse still hung in their familiar places. The unease escalated when the family noticed that the front door was not shut completely. Fearing the worst, Alicia's family wasted no time. They called emergency services and urgently sought help. When the officers arrived, they conducted a thorough inquiry. However, their initial advice was to wait 24 hours, suggesting that Alicia might have gone off with friends and would likely return. It is the most helpless, terrifying, devastating emotional feeling that you will ever have. That your child is out there somewhere. You don't know where, you don't know what's happening, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Meanwhile, Alicia's world had taken a chilling turn. She had been led into a car, and the man who'd forced her there exerted control by tightly squeezing her hands as if to crush them. She felt the grip of fear intensify. The man's commands echoed in the confined space. He told her that if she didn't stay quiet, he would put her in the trunk. At that moment, the teen realized she was no longer in control of her own life. The captor continued driving, and Alicia peered out of the car window, her gaze shifting from familiar road signs to an increasingly unfamiliar landscape. The once recognizable markers became strangers with each moment, sending her farther from her family. She desperately searched for any means to escape. Passing a toll booth, she harbored a flicker of optimism. She prayed that the toll booth attendant might glimpse her, silently pleading for help. Yet, her silent pleas went unanswered as the car pressed on, covering a 5-hour journey from the familiar streets of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to the unknown terrain of Virginia. The investigation captive in the confines of the man's basement, desperation mounted over the Kozakiewicz household, prompting a second call to emergency services from Alicia's father, Charles. This time, with a sense of urgency and conviction, he conveyed to the authorities that Alicia had not simply wandered off. Recognizing the severity of the situation, Pittsburgh police escalated the matter to the Crimes Against Children Task Force. This task force, which is composed of federal law enforcement agencies, didn't have to adhere to the waiting period before deeming someone as missing. The investigation kicked off swiftly, with a united effort to bring Alicia home safely. The task force initiated a comprehensive search in the neighborhood, canvassing the area and questioning residents, but to no avail. The absence of familial discord, coupled with the fact that Alicia had left her personal belongings behind, led the task force to dismiss the possibility of a voluntary departure and officially declare that Alicia was abducted. Mary's revelation about her daughter's significant time spent on the internet captured the investigators' attention. They delved into her online activities and focused on a chat room, which raised concerns about her interactions with individuals on the internet. The FBI. In 2002, I was totally clueless as to the dangers of the internet. My daughter was sitting in a common room talking to a box. To my mind, that's what she was doing, Mary later reflected. While chatting online might have seemed innocent in 2002, law enforcement recognized the inherent dangers. Alicia's engagement with people on the internet exposed her to potential predators. With this, the FBI explored two plausible scenarios. The first involved the possibility that Alicia had been snatched off the street by an unknown assailant. The second, more chilling option, was that she had been lured away by a predator, a haunting reality in the burgeoning age of the internet. The FBI wasted no time in seizing Alicia's computer for investigation. Lab technicians delved into Alicia's digital history, revealing volumes of communications across instant messaging platforms. The investigators combed through these conversations one by one, seeing discussions about classes, boys, and the typical topics that occupied the thoughts of a teen like Alicia. Their quest was to uncover any subtle signs that might illuminate the mystery of what happened to her. During this, the realization dawned on Mary that they may have unknowingly invited danger into their home through the innocuous gift of a computer, which was only intended to aid their children with school projects, homework, and research. Media involvement determined to contribute to the investigation, Mary reached out to the National Center for Missing Children to seek guidance. The advice she received was clear: get Alicia's picture out there for the world to see. Someone might have encountered her somewhere. Media involvement became an essential strategy. News outlets broadcasted Alicia's story far and wide, making it a headline that captured public attention. Armed with dozens of photos, the family aimed to imprint Alicia's face in the minds of the masses. Meanwhile, the FBI went to Alicia's school, asking her classmates and teachers to gain deeper insights. It was revealed that Alicia would arrive at school exhausted, having spent late evenings engrossed in her computer. Concerningly, her classmates disclosed that she had been engaging in conversations with an older man, someone she had been talking to for a long time, with plans for a face-to-face meeting. This made the FBI look into the possibility of catfishing and grooming. Catfishing is a dangerous tactic where a predator poses as another person, like someone of the victim's age, and tailors their messages to match the victim's desires. When the predator gains the role of a trusted confidant, they can proceed to groom their target through deceit, guiding the victim toward accepting harmful ideas aligned with their sinister intentions. They provide an outlet for their frustrations, offer sympathy, and talk about how terrible the victim's family is. They encourage the victim to confide in them, showing affection and attention that the victim might not be getting elsewhere. This manipulative process eventually leads to a suggestion: let's meet. The gravity of the situation escalated when Tom Carter, the acting supervisor of the Violent Crime Squad, received a vital phone call from Florida. Reluctant but compelled to aid the investigation, the caller withheld his identity out of embarrassment. He revealed that he was part of an adult chat room where one participant had sent him a link to a private video. It was a live stream depicting a woman in a cage who bore a haunting resemblance to the missing teen from Pittsburgh. The caller's description of the video's contents sent shockwaves through the investigative team. The crying woman, who was visibly subjected to unspeakable acts, further intensified the urgency to locate Alicia and bring an end to the horror she was enduring. With the unsettling video in their possession, the police were convinced it depicted Alicia and clung to hope that she was still alive but captive. Seeking more information, the officers asked about the informant's identity, but he hung up. When the FBI traced his call to a payphone in Tampa, Florida, they couldn't do anything but hope that the man would call back. After a while, he did. Despite his reservations, the informant cooperated, providing as much information as he could, motivated by a paternal instinct as a father himself. However, when faced with the prospect of an in-person meeting with the FBI, he declined, citing fears for his own safety. Given that he was their primary source, the FBI was eager to gather more information while he continued. The conversation with investigators. They traced his location in real time. FBI agents reached his residence and knocked on his door. Confronted, the informant decided to distance himself from the unfolding tragedy. He promptly informed the police of the details he possessed, providing a critical lead for the FBI's ongoing efforts to locate Alicia. However, the chat room's anonymous nature left the informant with few details about the captor, since there was only a screen name and no real name or location. Faced with this challenge, the FBI decided not to disclose the limited information to Alicia's parents until she was rescued. They attempted to trace the IP address associated with the uploader's screen name, but the FBI encountered a roadblock. The website provider Yahoo was bound by legal obligations and considered IP addresses confidential. To bypass this obstacle, a grand jury subpoena was deemed necessary, but this process would take until the next morning. U.S. Attorney Mary Beth Buchanan invoked the Patriot Act, leveraging its provisions to compel internet service providers to share information in emergency situations. Despite this, the FBI faced another challenge. Yahoo's headquarters in California was closed at that hour. Undeterred, an FBI agent was dispatched to the home of Yahoo's president at 5 o'clock in the morning. The president, in turn, directed an employee to provide the necessary information urgently. Through these means, they tracked the IP address, revealing it belonged to an individual in Herndon, Virginia. Scott Tyree, a 38-year-old divorcee and a seemingly ordinary computer analyst employed as a government contractor, emerged as a potential suspect as the IP address linked to Alicia's captivity led to him. Despite lacking a criminal record or any overt signs of sadistic behavior, the FBI honed in on Tyree's connection. Simultaneously, as one team worked to secure a warrant allowing entry into Tyree's Virginia residence, another team delved into Alicia's computer. They searched for Tyree's name to confirm that they were on the right path. Unknown to them at the time, Alicia was in a basement dungeon with nothing to do but focus on her survival. This meant doing what her captor wanted, no matter how disgusting it was for her. As the man left for the office one morning, he confessed to Alicia, "I think I'm beginning to like you a little too much." With that, he promised to take her for a ride when he returned, and for the first time in 4 days, he fed her. The victim should have been happy being presented with a meal, but this and his words to her instilled fear in her heart, since she thought that this was her last. As the gravity of the situation sank in, she was convinced that her life was hanging by a thread. Thankfully, the authorities finally gained the signed search warrant, so the FBI swiftly mobilized. They learned that Tyree was at his workplace and sent one team to arrest him there, while another team searched his residence for any trace of Alicia. The arrest unfolded seamlessly at Tyree's workplace, while Alicia heard loud crashes and people yelling. Gripped by terror, she believed these were the enforcers the man had ordered to end her life. Bound with chains and a dog collar around her neck, Alicia sought refuge under the bed. The clamor of footsteps and voices pierced the air, urging her to crawl out. Soon, the trembling Alicia revealed her presence. The barrel of a gun pointed at her, signaling what she believed to be the final moments of her life. In a sudden twist, The person holding the gun turned around, and then I saw the most beautiful letters in the alphabet, FBI, in bold yellow on the backs of their jackets, and I knew that I was safe and that my prayers had been answered. The rescue. The FBI called and wanted us to come down to the FBI building immediately. I had no idea if they were calling me to say they had found my child or that they were calling me down to identify her body. After being rescued, Alicia stayed in a foster home, a temporary refuge following her traumatic experience. The evening was supposed to bring a reunion with her family, but as time passed, Alicia couldn't shake the growing worry that her family might no longer love her or harbor resentment for her leaving that fateful night. Contrary to Alicia's fears, her parents were facing an unforeseen challenge. The media frenzy around Alicia's story made it difficult for them to book a flight. Unaware of this, Alicia remained anxious. Fortunately, the FBI recognized the urgency and intervened to find a solution. In a practical and caring move, the FBI arranged a private plane, ensuring Alicia's family could quickly travel to Virginia and bring her home. Justice was served. What did you think when you saw your parents? Yeah, you could say that I was very, very happy and relieved. In March 2003, justice was served as Scott Tyree pleaded guilty to 4 counts, including kidnapping and exploitation. The sentence was a substantial 19 years and 7 months, which marked a resounding victory in the legal battle. Despite Tyree's significant prison sentence, his release in 2017, 2 years ahead of schedule, cast a shadow over Alicia's newfound peace. He was given parole and relocated to a halfway house merely 4 miles from Alicia's home in Pittsburgh, thus sparking concerns about the potential threat he posed to his previous victim. The fears proved well-founded when, during his stay at the halfway house, Tyree's breach of parole. Tyree went against his parole by visiting inappropriate websites. This breach prompted the judge to revoke his parole, sentencing him to an additional 2 years in prison. During all this, Alicia drew strength from her traumatic experience and transformed it into a platform for advocacy. A year after her abduction, she emerged as a vocal advocate for children facing similar dangers online, leveraging her own story to educate both youngsters and their parents about the perils of the internet. Alicias Law. We have to teach them how to protect themselves because they don't know what to protect themselves from. So it's not to terrify them and make them afraid of the world, it's to empower them. This dedication materialized with the founding of the Alicia Project, a group committed to raising awareness about online predators. Aside from this, she worked alongside the National Association to protect children to secure the passage of her namesake, Alicias Law. This law stands as a powerful ally against exploitation in the United States, stepping in where federal resources fall short. Acknowledging that only a tiny fraction of known cases get the attention they need, it ensures a steady flow of funds specifically for the Internet Crimes Against Children, ISAC, task forces in each state. This law provides a reliable source of funding to teams dedicated to rescuing kids from online threats. According to recent reports, Alicias Law has already helped with the arrests of over 1,000 online predators, and the funding it has provided became crucial in rescuing another victim, Jamie Kloss. I know for a fact that I have made a difference, and that is something that's incredible. To take what happened and to give it a purpose. If we work hard, if we have hope, if we have faith, if we work on moving forward, we can find a purpose in the chaos. And that's what I've been able to do. To take this horrible, awful, disgusting thing that happened to me and give it a purpose. And that purpose is to save other kids. People will say to me a lot, they'll say, "I'm so sorry that happened to you," and they'll get very sad. And I say, so much good has come from it. So much good. And one of those is Alicias Law, which is my namesake, and it has passed in 11 states. Ongoing challenges and advocacy. Even after many years, Alicia continued to grapple with the haunting memories of her past. The horror she endured remained a constant presence in her life. Nevertheless, Alicia's strength persisted. She faced the ongoing challenges with resilience, refusing to be overwhelmed by the traumatic experiences. To cope with the lingering impact, Alicia chose to share her story repeatedly. Through unwavering determination, she spoke out, ensuring that her narrative reached a broad audience. Her goal was straightforward: to shed light on her own journey and raise awareness about the prevalent issues surrounding online safety and exploitation. Her continued dedication to her advocacy allowed her to pursue a degree in psychology to further understand predatory crime. In 2016, she earned her master's degree in forensic psychology from the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. Even today, Alicia remains a beacon of courage as she fights to ensure that no one else experiences what she went through. You don't know what you have within you to survive until you're put into an indescribable situation where your only goal is survival. I've had a lot of kids who've come forward and said, "Somebody hurt me when I was younger, and this is the first time I'm talking about it." And that's where I've really found my healing. Outro, subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.